Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to today's Greater Birmingham Chamber Awards Application Workshop ahead of the GBCC Awards. Today's session is aimed at giving businesses interested in applying for the awards a better insight and understanding on how to craft winning award entries, and also really an opportunity for you to ask us any questions. So I'm joined by our Head of Marketing, Digital and Events, and also by our new Senior Marketing and Events Executive, who can cover kind of the details of our online application process and key deadlines with you. We're also joined by Rob Valentine, who is one of our past judges, and I'll hand over to him shortly for a brief introduction. We are awaiting 2 additional panelists, so I do hope they're able to join us. If they are not able to join us for whatever reason, please do continue to put any questions that you have into the Q&A box. And if between us we are not able to answer a question, we can come back to you on those questions at a later date. So apologies for that. We are 2 people short, although I can see someone else joining, so hopefully we'll get there. So yes, any questions that you have, please put them in the Q&A box. Hi, Susie. I hope you can hear us.
I can hear you fine. I'm sorry I'm late. I was going to say that it was because I caught up in something I didn't. I was merrily in my own little world.
That's okay. That's okay. We've just made a start. So thank you for joining us. Yes. So I'm going to start with some short introductions, and then we'll start with the Q&A. I've got some questions that we frequently get asked that I'll run through. But as I said to all the participants, please do put your questions in the Q&A box. And we will ask those to the panel along the way as well. So on introductions, I'm Lillian Ellican. I'm Director of Membership at the Greater Birmingham Chamber. Also very honoured to be chairing the panel for the GBCC Awards again this year. So I will hand over firstly to Paula Bates, who is on our panel and is our Head of Marketing, Digital and Events at the Chamber.
Hi everyone, we're just going to say a quick hi. So as Lillian said, I'm Head of Marketing, Events and Digital here at the Chamber, and with my colleague Camilla, who'll introduce herself, we are supporting in arranging the GBCC Awards this year.
Excellent, lovely, thank you Paula. And yes, just wanted to hand over to Camilla as well, who has very recently joined the Chamber and looks after our GBCC Awards. So Camilla, do you just want to introduce yourself?
Yes, so hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. So my name's Camilla and I've recently joined as a Senior Marketing and Events Executive here at the Greater Birmingham Chambers of Commerce. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'll be your main point of contact going forward for any questions on the applications or about the awards night itself. So hopefully you get to see some of you there as well. So thank you.
Brilliant, lovely, thank you Camilla. And then on to our 2 panelists for today. So I'm going to start with Rob Valentine, who's Regional Director at Brundwood SciTech and was one of last year's judges for the GBCC Awards. Rob, would you like to introduce yourself and also just share some thoughts on awards and what impact they can have on a business when they enter and potentially win?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Rob Valentine, I lead our business, Brundwood SciTech, here in Birmingham and the West Midlands. So property and investment business. Strategic investors, so we're delivering a Birmingham Health Innovation Campus in partnership with the University of Birmingham. We've got a portfolio of offices in the city centre which we continue to invest and grow, and then we're also lead developer on Birmingham Knowledge Quarter. So we look after lots and lots of different businesses, many of which are tech businesses, science businesses, many of which are quite small and growing, and we support those businesses to help them meet their potential. So yeah, last year I was honoured to be one of the judges. Found it a really interesting process. Some brilliant businesses, quite difficult decision making, an awful lot of stuff to read, but quite insightful. I think we made the right decisions in the end. What do these awards mean for businesses? Well, you know, they're a powerful way for businesses to highlight their potential. And I've always been a big advocate of celebrating success, celebrating good practice, and I think that these awards are probably one of the exemplar ways of doing that. So I'm very happy to be invited back, so thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you very much for that intro. And then we're also joined by Susie Brands, Vice Principal at BMET, as well as current Chamber Council member. Susie was also one of the judges last year, so thanks, Susie, for joining us. Also, would you just like to do a quick introduction, and can you tell us what you believe businesses on this webinar why they should put themselves forward for the awards? I think businesses sometimes are a little bit shy about that, so it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on that.
Yes, so hello everyone, Susie Branch, Head Vice Principal at BMET and proud council member. And for us, and the reason why I think everyone should put themselves forward to it is there's two audiences really, I suppose, for the awards. Firstly, it's to be able to recognise externally, particularly if you come from an SME background. But I can give a bit more example of why the award was so helpful for us as well, from a larger employer background. But it's about, I often say it's about, your city and your city region's business ecosystem has in essence awarded you the award, which I think is quite significant. And then so the external stakeholders point of view, but then there's the internal stakeholder point of view about all the work that goes on behind the scenes to get you as a business to be able to be up for the awards. Sometimes, I mean, it's the whole NASA thing, isn't it? Everybody from from people who are perhaps greeting your customers on a day-to-day basis to the accounts team to whoever plays such an integral part in what you do as a business. And it's a way, I think it's also a really significant way of recognising everybody's contribution to the business. So it's both the internal and external for me.
Lovely, thank you, Susan. I think that makes a lot of sense to kind of take out those two viewpoints. Thank you. Right, just a reminder as we get started with some of the Q&A, let's put them in the Q&A box, which you'll find at the bottom of your screen. I'm going to start with some of the really practical and nitty-gritty stuff. So, Paula, can you just talk us through kind of the different awards categories, criteria, and also, really importantly, kind of deadlines as well, so people don't miss out by a day?
Absolutely. So all of our information is on our events landing page as well, and we'll copy that into the chat so everybody has got access. But very similar categories to last year. So we have 11 categories that you can enter, and then the Greater Birmingham Business of the Year Award 2025, that's picked from the overall winner of the 11 categories that you can apply for. So the categories range from, we have an excellence in contribution to the community, excellence in customer service, hospitality, retail and events, inclusive people development management, international business, manufacturing, sales and marketing, sustainability, technology and innovation, third sector, and also training and education. There is quite a detailed breakdown of each category again on the events landing page, and that highlights which organisations each award is aimed at. So if you're unsure, you can take a look at that guide just to see which category best suits your organisation as well. The awards, of course, they're free to enter, and you can enter up to a maximum of 2 categories. And it is open to all businesses based within the Greater Birmingham region, and that does extend out to Birmingham, Burton, Cannock, Lichfield, Tamworth, Solihull and all Sutton Coldfield postcode areas. But just a reminder, if you are a Greater Birmingham Chamber members, but you're based outside of the region, then you wouldn't be eligible to win the overall Greater Birmingham Business of the Year award or to enter any of those categories. The deadline this year, we have got a bit longer, we've got a 13-week window, so that closes at 9 AM on Monday, the 4th of November.
Excellent, thank you, Paula. And last year we changed to an online application process for those who have entered in the past, so we've got a slightly different process. Paula, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So as Lillian explained, we've got an online portal, so it replicates what we did last year for those that may have entered previously. Again, if you go onto our events landing page, it's very easy to enter. You just need to log in there. If you haven't registered, just register as an account and linking in your membership number if you do have one. And at that point, it will bring up the application form for you. So it's very simple. It's 2 questions that you have to answer. So question 1 really just focuses on your organisation over the last 12 months. Judges will be looking really for general examples around business success over that past year, for example, growth and turnover, etc. This particular question is worth 30 marks, and that's got a word count of around 200. And then our second question is worth slightly more at 70 marks with 500 words. That question really focuses on why your organisation deserves to win your chosen award. And judges, again, will be looking for examples directly relevant to your chosen category, your organisation, as well as maybe impact and record achievement of your organisation. So very simple. We don't accept any additional attachments for information, but you can link to a web address which can house supporting evidence as part of your application as well.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Paula. Hopefully that all makes sense. If anyone logs on and along the way needs any support, please do reach out to your relationship manager who can support you, or if it's more complicated, the marketing and events team can help you as well. But do reach out to the Chamber team if you have any issues along the way. Hopefully the portal is straightforward for everybody to access. Right, let's have a look. So, Susie, can I ask you a question? Obviously, there's always lots of talk about kind of backing up your application. So I just wanted to chat to you a little bit about what key elements should applicants always include in their submission to make a strong impression, and what role data and evidence plays in crafting a strong application for awards. Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you. Okay, so from my perspective, when I've judged, I mean, the great thing about the awards is that the application form is really low input. You know, it's not pages and pages and pages of questions. However, so I think that's great in terms of saving time for writing and being efficient. But for me, for a judge, it means that I think application forms need to be written with sort of impact in mind. So what I'm looking for, it's a little bit like an interview question or a PDR question, isn't it? What I'm looking for is it's great when people are giving me qualitative information about why the feeling about the organization that they work for, but I'm looking for that feeling to be backed up pretty quickly with facts and stats. Now sometimes those facts and stats aren't quantitative, and that's fine, but it's being able to signpost me quite quickly to as illustrated by and a case study or something that quite easily says to me, okay, that's their culture, that's the vision, that's what they're trying to achieve, and yes, I can quickly see that they're driving that with impact.
Thanks, Susie, and I can see Rob nodding away in agreement. I don't know if you've got anything to add there, Rob. No, perfect. I think that makes a lot of sense. Back it up where you can with stats or with examples and case studies. Thank you, Susie. Have a look. Rob, can I come to you next? How can applicants showcase their unique strengths and competitive advantages in their applications? And do you have any tips applicants can use to stand out from the competition in a crowded field of applicants?
Yeah, so yeah, it's about impact, I suppose, echoing what Susie just said. So very, very, very quickly, you want to try and understand what it is that makes this business, or what they feel makes this business special. So clearly, I want to be able to see that articulated in a coherent form quite quickly, backed up with facts and figures. That's important. Some of the applications last year were quite challenging to kind of work through, and there's a lot of repetition. So beware of repetition. Think about each section adding a little bit more to your story. You don't need to write reams and reams. If you want to put some connections through to more further reading, that's absolutely fine. But really, you want to be able to articulate your application succinctly, clearly, and as I said, through those particular steps.
Lovely, Rob. Thank you for that. I think you've kind of alluded to this. This is a question we get asked a lot as well. So we talk a lot about facts and data and kind of backing up your stats, being concise. But how important is like storytelling in an award application? Yeah,
super. It isn't life, just full stop, isn't it? Storytelling is a real skill. It brings something to life. So think about your story. And when I was kind of thinking back to last year's award, there was quite a bit of work to that process. There were a number of high number of applicants, and it was great. And there was some really strong ones, and some quite challenging decisions to be made. But the storytelling bit really helped. That bit about what makes that business special, some of the journey they've been on, the people that are involved, I think really helps bring it to life. And I think don't be afraid to use some of the technology out there that can help you bring that together. I'm pretty sure last year a lot of people were using ChatGPT to help them along the way.
Yeah, I think we do see that more and more, and I think you're right. It can definitely be a helpful tool. I would probably just say use it as a tool, not as your
As a
only
tool,
use.
yeah.
Lovely, thanks for that, Rob. And then looking on the other side, Susie, can you kind of share as a judge what are some of kind of like the potential pitfalls or big don'ts that applicants should avoid when writing their award application?
Oh, that's a good one. I think probably one of the biggest don'ts is don't assume. So don't assume the judges understand your business or know your business or know the impact that you've already had. Take us as a brand new stakeholder that's never met with you, and you're trying to convince us in a sort of the whole elevator pitch. Yeah, that would be my biggest don't actually is don't assume. And then just coming to, I suppose, tying back into a little bit of Rob's answer is therefore also the importance of edit. So it's edit and edit again and keep editing, because I think quite often that I can see people are trying to get to the point, but the word count is really low, so you need to really put that swagger into your application straight off, get me in with the story at the beginning.
Lovely, Susie. I think that's a really useful piece of advice. Thanks for sharing that. We are joined by Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for joining us.
How are you?
Good, thank you. We're recording, so you can watch the beginning back. We've gone through some of the nitty-gritties of the how to apply, and we've just kind of kick-started with some questions to Rob and Susie around what makes a good application and kind of the do's and don'ts. For everyone on the call, this is Rebecca. Rebecca Manda runs a company called Guru U and was one of our award winners last year in the training and education category. That's right, isn't it, Rebecca?
That's correct. Yes, very exciting. Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're so welcome. So sorry I was late. Something came up and I just had to deal with it. I'm so sorry, everybody. My bad.
Okay, you're here now. You're here now. So just a reminder to all the delegates, please do pop any questions you have for the panel in the chat or the Q&A. I have got some questions that we generally get asked a lot that hopefully will be helpful for everybody on the call. So Rebecca, I'm going to come to you with a question straight away, if that's all right.
Okay.
So obviously with our categories, they're kind of sector and industry specific. So we often get concerns from smaller businesses, startups, that they don't feel like maybe they should be putting themselves forward, or that they're concerned that they're competing with some larger businesses in that same sector. Obviously, you are a small business, so I just wanted to get your advice from you to small business and startups about why they should apply and how they can stand out against larger organisations.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good question, and it's one that's put me off in the past. But I think if you play small in business, then you'll always be small. Whereas if you are a solopreneur or you're a small business and you play big, then you'll just get bigger and bigger. And we need to put ourselves out there, because the impact that we have, smaller businesses, on, I don't know, on anybody is the same as a large business, if not more, because we have a personalized approach. And in my example, my program had probably reached 300 people. And that's the program that I applied for, the Bounce Forward program. And we beat 1 academy, 2 universities, And I was in the education as well. So I was thinking, there's no way I'm going to win this because I'm in education. And there's universities that I'm up against. Another amazing coaching company, you know, and I actually, and it was the same for when I applied for the Great British Entrepreneur of the Year award. You know, I was shortlisted amongst people who were millionaires in their category, and the person who won was a multimillionaire. And I just don't think it matters. Size doesn't matter, let's say. And it's so true. You have to just, if you believe that you're small and you play small, then you'll always get small results. You just because you're on your own or you're working with somebody else or volunteers doesn't mean to say that you can stand up amongst those people, because the impacts that you make can be phenomenal. And that's what's being judged here. They're not judging the size of your company, how many people you have. They're judging the people that you're impacting.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. I think that makes a lot of sense. Hopefully that gives some small business some more confidence to put their names forward as well. So thank you. Just on that, just be interested if Susie or Rob have any thoughts of that from a judging point of view, and how you kind of take the size and employee size and what impact a business makes into account when you're judging these awards.
Yeah, so my background before I joined BMET was I used to run an SME, and my family background is as SME owners. So not that I'm biased towards an SME, that's unfair as to say as a judge, but I try my hardest when I'm judging to it comes back to that impact piece, is that the more I can see what impact looks like, I do then look at, you know, looking at how well that's being communicated to me in an entry, and how well other entries are being communicated to me. And there are SMEs who have been up for the awards over the years, and you look at the size of the business, so therefore what have they got available to them in terms of resource, etc., and then the impact that they have, and it's incredible. So again, for me, it is about making sure as an SME you really put that impact information out bold, but please go for it, because you know it comes out really clearly in an application, just as Rebecca's outlined, and actually, you know, we are a city and we are a country that's built on SMEs, and when I was running an SME, the impact was on being shortlisted for awards was huge. I always used to say it really helped me with things like applying, if I was going out for a tender, particularly if I was doing a tender or a pitch out of region, to be able to say again that I'd been shortlisted, or that we had been, you know, received an award from the rest of the business community, kind of used to give me that additional swagger, and used to be able to make you feel like you'd kind of got a different set of recommendations to be able to prove your credentials, when again I could be pitching against larger employers.
Thanks, Susie. And I think that is a really good point, actually, the impact, looking at how the judges analyze the impact, but also actually the impact it can have on an SME is absolutely huge externally.
Yeah,
I think even just to be a finalist in these awards, if you look at the amount of entries we get, even just to get shortlisted, is a huge thing for businesses. Thank you all. We are beginning to get quite a lot of questions from the participants, which is great. So I'm just going to begin to run through some of those. They're not necessarily specifically for someone, so just unmute yourself if you would like to contribute. So firstly, on one for judges, do judges research the businesses that they are reviewing applications for? This participant is just wondering, they don't want to write too much about the business and then run out of kind of words to share statistics, etc. So how do you think they should balance that?
I think that's a really good question, because I don't think, I can't recall whether there's a standard request of us as judges to do any research in addition to what we read. I always do some research, but I'm going to be honest, it's headline research. So I will at least Google and look at the website of each nomination I've got in front of me. But as you can appreciate, there are so many. you can't, you know, you can't do an in-depth piece of research, but I do always do a bit of just a quick glance through a website to kind of think, you know, is this matching up, and have I got all the information I need?
Yeah, and likewise from me, there's quite a lot of work to undertaking these assessments. So, you know, I think from memory, I think it was several evenings I gave up just going through the applicants, and there were times when I did do a little bit of research just to get the context, where it wasn't perhaps flowing through in the application. What I would suggest is that you put that, if you can, you know, tell that story, put that context in the application.
I think one of the reasons we were successful was because our metrics were really good. We work with a company, a patron actually of the chamber, and they'd insisted on having metrics, so we had those. And I think that you can be very passionate about your business and tell anecdotal stories to impress the judges, but if you've got evidence, then you can't. I don't think you can put too much of that in, because you can't rely on a busy judge to go and do the research. That has got to be, the hard facts have got to be in your application. And so if you have got a percentage of people who've passed, or a percentage of people who've rated you, or in my example, I had people who'd gone for promotion and won that promotion. I had a mindset shift that had happened, and all of those things there, the judges can't argue with. So if another competitor doesn't put that in, you're already ahead. So I would say, yeah, don't rely on the judges and their goodwill to go and do the research, because they're busy professionals themselves, and get it all in there.
Thank you all. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think one thing I'd say, we get a lot of applications, so judges will look at things, but like Rebecca said, their time is limited. So I would say anything that they absolutely must know about your business to understand it, particularly if it's perhaps not directly obvious from your company name or the sector, then make sure you put some lines in to really clarify what you do. It's almost like, you know, you've got that cliche, but the elevator pitch, making sure that you've got that kind of in there so people know what you do. Thank you all. Paula, I think this might be quite a practical one for you. We've got a marketing agency based in Rugby, and they were shortlisted last year for the Solihull Awards. Congratulations, well done. Can we clarify, are they eligible for entering these awards or not due to their location being Rugby?
We might have to check. They want to send over their postcode, so I can double check on that one. They can either drop that in the chat or send an email, and I can drop my email address into the chat.
Okay, perfect. Yes, if you pop your email address in the chat, then hopefully they can pick that up. Thank you. Let's have a look. Oh, this is an interesting one. Can we ask the panel about their views if someone is sponsoring the awards and they're also considering submitting an entry, view from the panel, and if there's any guidelines? Just in terms of guidelines, there are no guidelines. Sponsors can enter the awards, but I will also pass that to the panel to see what their thoughts are on that, if they have any.
My view is really is go for it. We as BMET sponsor the awards quite a lot, or sponsor a shape of the awards. And also, my own view on things like the Chamber's Awards is that we're all sensible enough to understand that we all need to, these things can't happen without financial support. And in essence, I just quite often see this sometimes as a big business ecosystem where we all need to support each other. And therefore, we can't, no one can have the awards without the sponsors making it happen. But at the same time, sponsors, that's part of their role. But yes, definitely still go for it if you're a sponsor. And obviously, there's the checks and balances in place to make sure that nothing is, that sponsors aren't getting a particular weighting or anything like that. All of the, sort of due diligence is done. And, if you're judge and you've got to, you have to, we would always say any conflicts of interest, which might include your own company's got an entry. And so, but no, I would personally, I would always say just go for it, even if you are a sponsor.
Lovely. Thank you, Susie. And I would also add, just from a chamber point of view, this is one of the key reasons why we have an independent panel. So although I'm chair of the judging, I'm not doing any judging. I'm purely there to support our independent judges. So they won't necessarily always realise who the sponsors are. They judge every application purely on the application and nothing else. But thank you for asking that question. Paula, someone's just asked on the word count because it's not on the website. I know you ran through it at the start, but can you just remind everybody?
Yes, so the word count you will see when you do start to fill in the application. But for the first question, the word count is 200 words, and that is worth 30 marks. And the second question is 500 words, and that's worth 70 marks. And because this system is online, it will literally shut off once you've reached that word count.
Yeah, so you'll be able to tweak your application until you've submitted it, but you won't be able to go over the word count. That's correct. Rebecca, I'll be quite interested actually, as someone who used last year and the new word count, just to get your thoughts on how you found that word count and any tips on doing a very concise application.
Okay, I think you broke up there, but you're wondering how you can get a concise word count, a concise application of word count. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about just going, for me, I just go over and over it again and keep reading it back, thinking, have the judges got all they need? And as I said, it's the same thing. You can be passionate about your business and you can wax lyrical about it, but really, is it going to be enough to influence the judges? You're not trying to persuade them or make them like you. You want to make sure that the impact of your business is getting out there. And actually, I think I might have used bullet points as well, because you want to make it clear. You don't want to make it too wordy. So you want to give it that real punch. And unless bullet points aren't allowed, I'm pretty sure I used some bullet points. So the impact of my program over the last 12 months has meant that, and then just the bullet points. I think I might have done that. Yes, definitely. But I do try and cram it all in, and I just keep going and taking out. I put in and sign. I'm sure I know there's a proper name for it. Can't think of it. Instead of writing or I just keep going until I've got it, all the information in there. So it's really concentrated. And actually what you want is that the judges think, oh, I'd love to know more about this. I wish there were more words for them. That's really what you're aiming for. So yeah, I don't worry about it sounding nice, or I just want to get that information in there.
Lovely. Thank you, Rebecca. We've talked a lot about metrics and the importance of them, and someone's asked if it's okay to put their metrics in an external link to save on the word count. What are your thoughts on that?
From a system point of view, that's what we're suggesting to do, because you can't add any supporting information, but we can take website links to any supporting information. So technically we accept them.
Yeah. And just from a judge's point of view, I just wanted to check, because obviously there's the risk that, people have a 500 word limit and then use a link and you find another 1,000 words. What would you do? Would you read them or would you dismiss them?
Dismiss them.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's something to be aware of. You can put in external links, but they probably have to be kind of really punchy messages, or the judges might not read them. So I would say any really important elements of your application, put them in the actual application form.
Yeah.
Everybody in agreement?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, lovely. A question here, if startup businesses are eligible, just a quick one, yes, they are. If you're a startup, you can enter the awards. And we, right at the start, we spoke a little bit about how we really encourage small businesses and startups to put their names out there and the impact it can have. This webinar is recorded, so if you've missed that bit, it's probably just worth watching it back as well. And then another kind of practical question, do sponsors see the award entries? No, they don't. They support the awards financially, and obviously we promote them as sponsors, and they get sponsorship elements to that, but they are not involved in the judging process. They find out the winners on the night.
And just a note on that, if you don't win, it's no point going back to the sponsor to ask why you didn't win. I had that one year when I was a sponsor. Someone saying, why did we not win? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, sponsors generally will not know, because Rebecca can attest to. Excellent. Let's have a look. I think that's all the questions that have come in to date. I'm just checking the chat to see if there's any further questions there. No, there isn't. If anyone has got any more questions, we have got a little bit of time left. But in the meantime, I just wanted to really just put it to the judges that if you can leave the audience with one top tip for the awards and creating a strong award entry, anything that we haven't already covered, what would it be?
I think my top tip is, so the decision that I will make on the awards from my judging is I in essence end up doing what I call as the litmus paper test. So in other words, if this company wasn't in the region, would there be a negative or positive impact? So the reason why I'm saying that is that sometimes it can really be boiling down to sort of, it can get really, really tight. And so for me, this is about how well and how confident am I from the information that's being shared that this company is making a real positive contribution to the city region. And if it wasn't here, would we feel, if it was to move, would we feel the loss of it? And that can sound like, therefore, that I'm weighted towards large organizations, but it's on the contrary, that's for everybody. So it's for me being able to see, it wouldn't surprise you that because I come from an education background now, one of the things that I also look out for is what's the, if I can see an SME who is every year has a work experience scheme that could just be involving 2 students or 1 student, that's a huge impact when you look at the multiplier effect of how they're contributing to the city region. And so I will look at that in quite a lot of detail, is understanding what it is that they, like I call it in my head the litmus paper test. What is the impact that this business is making on the city? And if I was to city region, if they were to leave, would we feel it?
Thanks, Susie. I think that's a really interesting take, and one hopefully companies can kind of take away and see, have I made that clear in my application? So thank you. Rob or Rebecca, can I come to one of you next?
Rob is the super judge. Go on, you go, Rob.
Okay, thank you. I want to say, well, we've all got a story, so tell it. We all want to make an impact. So, and all the businesses that I read about all made an impact. So really, really, really drive that bit home. Tell your story with pride and highlight your impacts.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob. Rebecca, any thoughts from you? I know you've done some judging recently with us.
I have. I've done future faces and I think I would get someone else to look over your application, because sometimes you get bored with yourself. So you forget that what you don't think you're amazing, you just think it's what you do. So I'd get a couple of other people to read through your application and make sure that you're singing your praises highly enough and that you're not missing things out. I've got a dreadful memory, and someone will say, remember when you did da da da? I'm like, did I? So yeah, I would get other people to read through your application first before it goes through. And then really what Susie was saying, just echoing that, your USP. If you're a PR agency, for example, there are lots of PR agencies. If you're a coach, there's lots of coaches, etc., etc. What makes you stand out? Why you? What would be the loss if your company wasn't there? Brilliant point from Susie.
Lovely. Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, and I think that's something that comes up a lot, where businesses actually go, oh, I haven't done anything special enough to put myself forward. Yes. And then there's usually someone who will say, oh, but you did this and that. And people just move on and forget that really quickly. And also a lot of organisations, it's quite, because I think actually write out an award application and reflect on everything you've done and realise actually how much you've achieved that you don't necessarily realise until you stop and begin to write it down for an award application.
Definitely.
Lovely, thank you. I haven't had any further questions come in from the audience. If you have got any final questions, oh, one just appeared. Let me have a look at this one. So someone's asked, I've written award submissions for Midlands Marketing Awards. And so I'm used to answering a question. So can I interpret excellence in sales and marketing as in what way does your business achieve excellence in marketing, or is there a better way to approach the submission? Paul, I don't know if you want to answer that one.
Yeah, and what I was doing was just cross-referencing the category. So looking at the reference in the category, it is really for those demonstrating excellence across whether it's your product, your operations, your impact, or actually your strategic development. So it's really interpreting the focus that you feel is the most strongest in terms of sales and marketing, if that makes sense. So yes, I think what Mark has suggested there would be a good approach.
Yeah, and then Mark, when you get to the application form, there's actually 2 questions, quite specific questions to answer as well. So that should hopefully help you craft your answers for those two sections. I hope that makes sense. If you want any further perfect. I was going to say, if you need any further clarification, please just give us a call. Susie, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes, it wasn't related to Mark's,
No.
but it was just to share with people. I think we as BMET are won excellence in education and training in 2022, I think, or 20.
I think so, yeah,
at some
2022.
point. And I reckon we entered that category about 6 times before we won it. So I share that because I'm a bit like a hobnob. But you can keep dunking me, and I will keep going. But I share that because actually I think it's, just if you don't get shortlisted or you don't win one year, then that's just, there's nothing to stop you going for it and going for it and going for it, because your business grows, what you do grows. Yes, your ability to be able to write a strong application also goes. But just because you might not win the one year, that doesn't stop anybody from going for it year after year, like we did until we eventually got there.
Absolutely, Susie. We have lots of businesses that will echo that, who've entered several times, even before getting shortlisted and then eventually going on to winning. So it definitely pays off to keep putting yourself forward and crafting that application.
We've got another question, I think, Lillian.
Yes, I've just seen one. So organisations can enter 2 categories, and someone's asked, if you enter the same award category, how different? Oh, actually, is this so it's asked, if you enter the same award category, how different does your subsequent entry need to be? So I think that's actually, if you've applied before and you enter again, how different does it need to be?
When I reflect back on our entries over the years, and then the one where we won, it comes back to that impact piece. So the entries over the years, I was sharing lots of great big vision and what we were trying to achieve and what we had achieved, but I didn't get to the point very quickly. Whereas the year we won, I got to, so I suppose we crafted our ability to do the entry form by being able to put a stronger impact piece in. But also, in all honesty, we'd grown as a business, and so we therefore got more impact that we could share.
Lovely, thank you, Susie. And also, just to add to that, there is different judges year on year judging the applications. So if you focus on something completely different, there will be a completely different panel. Or if you choose to use the same application but add to it and craft it further, it is a different panel. So no one will say, hey, that's the same as I read last year and you only tweaked or added to that, if that makes sense. Lovely. Right. We haven't got any further questions in the Q&A. We have got a few minutes, so if anyone has got any burning questions, do please put them in. But other than that, I hope that has covered everyone's questions. Like I said, if you leave today and you do have any further questions, please do speak to your relationship manager. They can either help you answer the question or speak to the marketing and events team for any further clarification that you need. Before I wrap up, just wanted to ask the panel if they had any final thoughts, words of wisdom, or anything that you want to share with the audience before we close up for today.
No, just looking forward to joining everybody and celebrating our region at the awards evening.
Excellent.
I'd say go for it. If you're sitting on the fence, just do it, because it will bring you visibility. It doesn't even matter if you're shortlisted or then you go on to win. That's wonderful. But as Lillian said earlier, doing the application is great to focus your mind on your business and see what you've achieved, and start also helping you see where your gaps are for the year ahead. But also it's a celebration of what you've done. And then you've got the ability to do that I've been nominated for posts, those posts to put your business out there. And it's a great way of increasing your visibility without any cost associated to it.
Lovely. Thank you, Rebecca. Any thoughts from you, Rob?
Go for it. Enjoy it. And the best of luck to you all.
Excellent. Lovely. Thank you. So I think today I've really taken away that you need to tell that story, but you need to back it up with evidence, whether they're statistics or case studies. Make sure it's a concise, easy to read application. The word count is limited, but just start with that story and then craft it down until it fits into that word limit and you're including all your points in a very concise way. So yes, we're going to wrap up. Thank you, Rebecca, Susie, Rob and Paula for joining us, for your time, for your advice. Today's session is recorded in case anyone wants to watch it back. And just a reminder, as Paula shared at the start, the deadline is 9 AM on Monday, the 4th of November. So you have got a couple of months, but don't wait too long. Give yourself enough time to write that application. And I look forward to meeting lots of you at the GBCC Awards. Just a reminder, that is on the 27th of February. So thank you all very much and have a great afternoon.
Good luck, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.